Hello, how are you? Good. So, 7th grade, and for 7, but and I had a great time on Roxbury.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amy, could you please read the open public meeting statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Council of Wisconsin and Roxbury was given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act as follows. On December 31st, 2025, notice emailed and faxed to the record of the Roxbury Library, the Westbrook Reporter, and Wilmington Daily Record, will also be included throughout the
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Alden. I'm here. Councilman Carey. Here. Deputy Mayor Crowley.
Here.
Councilman DeFilippo.
Here.
Councilman Hall. Councilman Riley.
Here.
Mayor Tully.
Here. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our neighborhood meeting. We do these 3 times a year. It's an informal meeting where we get to sit down with the neighborhoods, different neighborhoods around Roxbury, and just have open conversation, see what's working, what's not working, and make sure we all move forward together as a unified township. This meeting tonight is about you, not us, so I'm going to just move through our agenda quickly. Marty Kane, who will be here, he just said he's running a few minutes late, but he'll be here hopefully within 10 minutes for his update. So I'm Roxbury Township Mayor Sean Patillo. To my right, I have Deputy Mayor Mark Crowley. To his right, we have Councilman Bob DeFilippo. Moving down, we have Councilman Fred Hall. We have Councilman Tom Carey on the end. On my left, I have Councilman Jim Riley. And to his left, Councilwoman Jackie Albrecht. We also have, where's Kathy? Former councilperson, Kathy DeFilippo, and former mayor and county commissioner in the back of us. And here with staff, we have our township manager, 5 months on the job, doing a great job. Thank you, JJ. On the other end of the table, we have our township clerk, Amy Reed. We have our chief of police, Matt Hollins. We have our director of DPW, Steve Sinise. We have fire chief, John Romeo. We have emergency manager, Bobby Hackett. All right. All right, so I have an update. Moving down in the agenda, like I said, Marty Kane will be here shortly. We'll let him circle back. I received an update. One of the agenda items is for the landing bridge. Rosalind and Chris had another meeting tonight. There are representatives from the county that have been giving us updates on the status of the new bridge. For those who may not be aware, the landing bridge here, which is behind everybody, is scheduled to be replaced. It's probably 125 years old. This project has been on the books since
125 years?
About 10 years ago, there was a resident committee where we were allowed to add input to the county to help with the design of the bridge. The original structure that was proposed was a straight trestle bridge. That committee was able to ask the county to remain consistent to what is there, that the historical value of the bridge that is there. That bridge is a double span bridge that goes over top of both New Jersey Transit and the Old North Canal. So we asked the county to maintain that look. They agreed to it, so we're looking forward to when it finally happens, a beautiful bridge that's more walker friendly, more friendly to alternate modes of transportation other than cars. So this is an update. On the 8th of April at the commissioners meeting, the budget was approved for $37 million for that project and to complete all 3 phases. They're anticipating awarding the bid end of June, early July of this year, with a pre-construction meeting held in late August, where we'll be invited and we'll be able to get some additional updates as to timelines, how the road's going to be handled, and those types of details. And I know they say this every year, but they are anticipating a spring of 27 shovels in the ground. For anybody who would like to see what the bridge is anticipated to look like, there is a rendering to my left. That is not final design, but that should be pretty close to what we're anticipating. We'd ask them to also work on the bulkhead overlooking the lake. The new design is meant to be a nice gateway into landing and the lake will pack on area. So very excited for that project to come along when it gets here. I don't have any more words for that, and I wish Marty Payne was here now, so I could go there. Yeah, I'm going to skip down. I'm going to ask our Director of Public Works, Steve Sinise, to give any updates in town for the DPWs.
Good evening, everybody. So I don't have a lot. There's a couple projects and different things in town this year that we'll be addressing from DPW's perspective. Aside from all the normal maintenance, we'll be paving a couple roads, Harriet and Beach. Those are the 2 roads in the landing area that you folks will see paved this year. We've done a lot of paving previously. In addition to that, our street sweeping for the year has started. We'll probably be in the landing area sometime mid-May is what we're anticipating. And you will likely see that sweeper again for another 2 times this year. 3 in total. I don't have the timing on that, but the first round, sometime mid-May, you'll see that and you'll see all the grid up in the winter time. And the last thing I have, unless there's any questions, is there's a cleanup this weekend for a townwide cleanup. It's Saturday the 25th, generally 9 to 11. If anybody's interested, please reach out to me. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Steve?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question concerning the pickup. The time has changed drastically. Is this the new time to be after noon? I'm on Curtis Road.
So they're permitted via their contract to pick up between the hours of, say, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. to 2 to 3 p.m. We don't control what time they pick up, just the date. So it can fluctuate depending on their staffing needs.
Okay.
Okay. I'll be here for the one day.
He's not going anywhere. You think of anything. All right, I also have our fire chief of Company 2, John Romeo. Any updates for the area?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, welcome everyone to Roxbury Company 2. We do have 2 events coming up Saturday, May 2nd. Old Navy at the Ledgewood Commons will be holding their annual safety fair from 12 to 4. The fire department, fire prevention, I believe the police department will be down there showing off the equipment, talking about fire safety, water safety. Also Friday, May 22nd, the Friday before Memorial Day, Company 2 will be holding our annual coin toss. We'll be here on Shippingport Road, Landing, and Lakeside Boulevard. Please come on out and show some support. If you're ever interested in seeing the firehouse, want to know a little bit more about what we do, we're here all the time for calls, but every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. or any time that you see the bay doors open, feel free to stop down. We're more than happy to give a tour. If you have kids or grandkids, you want to bring them out and let them see the trucks. Also, if you know of anyone or if you yourself are interested in joining, we're always recruiting. We are your neighbors. We're here to help you, and we're always looking for help. So, any questions? I'll also be here for the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Chief. All right, so I'm going to open it up to questions from the audience, and then when Marty gets here, we'll allow him some time to give his update on the foundation and the commission. All right, so it's informal. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and we'll call on you as we see you. Anthony.
Want to kick things off?
Sure.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. Good to see you all. Normally, I would have brought this to you as I heard it during the budget meetings, but I decided to preserve my peace and not attend the calamity that was going on earlier this year. During the tax assessor's presentation, it was brought up about the potential for looking at taxing unrealized gains as part of increasing the cost basis for valuations for properties within the township. And I just wanted to voice an idea that I don't think that's such a good idea. The distinction was made between the valuations from permitted work on residences versus her comment at the time was that valuations in Poets Peak are $600,000, but the houses are selling for $900 plus because people have done bathrooms or kitchens or whatever aesthetics that are subjectively valued, and that if we decide to pursue something to increase a valuation based on a subjective unrealized gain, you're going to have people lining up outside the door if the market, not if, but when the real estate market corrects. And so looking at trying to tax unrealized gains to get more money into the coffers, it's not such a great idea.
I think what she was bringing up is for leading us down to doing a reval.
Right.
These were single-family homes.
Sure.
Then there was an additional approach that involved businesses, because oftentimes these larger scale developments,
Right.
like warehouses, their value changes more abruptly, and they will have tax appeals against us. And to look at where those values are much higher outside of the percentage range we're in now.
And the thing, right? And
Target those large scale developments. That
Okay.
wasn't very visual.
because with the reval process, just 2 points. One, we got into a little bit of a sticky situation because of when the review was made to look into merging with Mount Arlington. And ultimately, DCA says that, well, we will let you guys go through with the whole process, but the real deciding factor was that the timing for the revals for both Roxbury and Mount Arlington were not done at the same time, so that there's a disparaging between the valuations for Mount Arlington versus the reval of Roxbury. And so even though those few years went through looking at merging the two communities, it was never going to go through unless the two communities were revaled at the same time. And then secondarily, when you look at the entire state as a whole, and you look at how areas like Patterson, Jersey City, and Union City went decades without a reval, all while they're collecting extraordinary aid from the state, it just makes a mockery that Roxbury is potentially going to invest a couple $1 million to do a reval after 10 years for what real gain?
Well, we're required to do a reval every 10 years.
I thought it was a suggestion. There's no time limit.
No, it's not.
It's based on when the percentage between the perceived value and the actual values gets to be greater than 65%. And I thought we're about like 71% now.
It's much more of a state
Yes,
requirement.
the tax board will mandate that.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you just look at why would we spend millions of dollars early if we didn't have to?
Well, no, if they mandate it, that's when we do it. We usually probably have a year grace period when we mandate it. So they did mandate it this year, they may next year, because our values, percentage of growth.
Okay.
It's
Right.
spread out so much, and that's where the tax board says you must do a reval to make sure everybody's paying their fair share.
Yeah, because it's about 71% now,
Yeah.
to true market versus assessed.
It's a very expensive.
Well, yeah, that's why,
But he's pointing out that it's not cheap yet. We don't have a lot of
right,
choice.
okay. I have other stuff, but I'll let other people go. You can come back to me if you want.
Welcome back. In the middle here.
Hi, I'm Susanna. My name is Susanna Oliveri. I'm one of your neighbors. I live here in Landing. I've lived here for 6 years, and I don't plan on going anywhere, and I hope to retire here. I wanted to, since nobody brought it up on the council, I wanted to bring up the ICE facility. On the way in, you might have gotten a flyer from me, and one of my friends lives. She also lives here in town. Just wanted to highlight some of the threats to our community and some of the things that we've been talking about at the town council meeting, and then give the town council an opportunity to address any of that, answer any questions, and or correct me if I'm wrong on any of these statements. There's a significant threat to our community, both environmental and infrastructure. This facility poses an imminent danger to our sewer system overload, drinking water shortages, ecological damage to local waterways, and of course Lake of Pacon. There is a significant financial impact coming our way. Residents will be facing lower property values, significant tax hikes, and potential damages to local businesses. Our quality of life here in Roxbury will change dramatically. We will have increased traffic on Route 46. We will have significant lake pollution, and we will have a harm to Roxbury's safe and homey feeling as a community. Some things have been done by the town council. They did pass a resolution to formally oppose the facility that was passed on January 13th of this year. But we do require that they continue to fight, and we demand full transparency and ensure follow-through. We really don't hear much going on about anything from the town council. They defer back to we have a resolution. And for most of us, that just is not enough. We, as members of the community, have noticed that our town attorney, Anthony Lugo, he's also a state senator, his voting record in New Jersey contradicts our town's anti-ICE resolution status. And we also are looking for a permanent ban from the town council on immediate moratorium on private prisons and permanent zoning ban on all detention centers and incarceration facilities. There is a lawsuit coming up on May 12th where the state of New Jersey and Roxbury Township will be going with ICE looking for a preliminary injunction to stop the warehouse. What you can do as citizens is you can attend council meetings and have your voices be heard, and you can also email the town council. The card that I handed out at the beginning up here has everyone's email as well as a schedule of upcoming meetings on the back side. So I'd like to give the council an opportunity to address anything that I just said. Maybe if you have an update or you'd like to give your views or any support of your resolution, now is the time.
We have no update on the lawsuit filed, as we previously said. We're limited on what we can say to the public due to the litigation of the suit that we are partnered with the state of New Jersey against the federal government.
I think that it would be helpful if we heard from the council members if they personally are in favor of the resolution. Because I've heard others speak in public at meetings stating that they're in favor of ICE, just not here in New Jersey, in Roxbury. That's not.
Well, the resolution was unanimously passed by all of us on January 13th.
I understand
I think
that.
that speaks for.
I don't think that it does. It's that when statements have been
That's your
made
opinion.
at the town council,
Thank
where
you.
they'll say, I support ICE, it doesn't give us a warm and fuzzy that you're doing everything that you can to keep ICE out of Roxbury.
I'd like to, I live in town as well my whole life, and I'd like to say that I believe that they have been doing a lot, and they're working with the new governor, Cheryl, to sue the federal government to keep it.
Bare minimum.
They are doing what they can. This is a federal.
Can other citizens talk?
Yes, I let you speak. This is a federal building that they might not have control over. understand that? So, and I think that they have done what they could, and they have spoken, and they've created the resolutions, they're working with the governor to sue the federal government to keep it out. And you know what, I'm here for a local meeting. We've heard all about the opposition, and that's fine, you know, like, it's just, I want to hear what's going on locally in Landing today. Okay?
Moving forward, everyone just address me, please. Thank you, John. Before we take any more, I saw Marty Kane walk in. Marty, it's your floor. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Marty Kane.
And I apologize, it's my mother-in-law's 95th birthday today.
Excellent.
So I'm divorced next week, you know how I got here. Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit about this PACOM and things that are going on. I could, a little bit. It's mostly about projects that are going on in Short Hills. The Lake PACOM Commission, unfortunately, Colin's not able to be here tonight because her son brought home something from daycare, so we really don't want her here. But no, there are a couple things really going on with the commission. There's some projects, as you know, going on in Short Hills, some stormwater projects. And the important thing for the commission is weed harvesting will be starting in May. They're going to be very timely. It will be the second week in May that the harvesters go out there. We want to, I don't want to say we, but the commission, and we all work very closely together. Just so you know, I'm Marty Kane. I work with the Lake PACOM Foundation. I just happen to be giving my presentations tonight. The foundation is the nonprofit, if you will, that tries to help out where there are government funds are unable or unwilling to be able to do so. And the commission is your government entity with all your local citizens that really, in a perfect world, would completely manage the lake. We share a little bit with New Jersey. The weed harvesters will be out there, and that's the good news. They will start early. They're going to start both north and south. Hopefully, indications are the lake is coming out of the winter in very good shape. I know a lot of you have mentioned to us that you haven't really been able to look down from your docks and see the bottom this clearly in years. We think a lot of that is because of the fact that the cold winter, the heavy ice that was on the winter, the snow has kind of beaten down the algae a little bit. It's really algae that kind of gives that cloudiness to the water, and the water has been very clear. Whether it'll stay or not for the duration of the summer, we don't know. We'll see. But there's a lot of good treatments that have gone on out there. There was a fairly, almost complete lake-wide alum treatment a year ago this past fall, and all indications on the water testing that have gone on is it really has done a good job on algae in the lake. So we're seeing some good signs there. The big project that affects Roxbury that we're involved in right now would be the dredging of Landing Channel. Something that always used to be periodically done. Landing Channel is a man-made part of the lake, if you will, and it wants to go back to nature if we let it. It's fairly shallow, and it does need occasional dredging, and it hasn't had it in 20 or 25 years, seriously. And we have a great project. It actually came out of one of the Roxbury Township meetings about 10 years ago to dredge Landing Channel and recreate what was Floating Island. Because one of the things what happens is when you dredge, it's very expensive because you have to truck away materials. You have to test them, and then you have to truck them away. They're wet, they're heavy. So the idea was there was always an island in Landing Channel. It's largely disappeared over time, but if we just allowed it to be reconstructed with the material we're taking back out of Landing Channel, it would make it a whole lot cheaper, and we could, get this done. The only problem is funding. What kind of money we could get to kind of kick off this project. we're not looking for any township money, which I know they're happy to hear. We think we have a couple of both federal and state ways of getting this funded. And the nice part about starting this project is you don't have to do it all at once. You know, if, let's say we got $2 million this year, we could do a lot of it, and if we couldn't finish it, you still have a partially constructed island there, and you have a bunch of the dredging done, and we could just pick it up another year later or so. So the project is moving along. I would love to be able to come back here next year and say that the project has started. We're hoping we get money this year to kick off that project. For the people that live on the Roxbury portion of Lake Packham, it would mean a lot. When they did the bathymetric study, which is they kind of probed down to see how high, what the lake level is in different parts of the lake, parts of Landing Channel had up to the highest part was 10 feet of mud. So it just shows you how much it is filled in, and it was particularly around Shore Hills Beach, which shouldn't come as a surprise to any old timers here because snowmobile used to just wash right in from, that area of the lake, right into the lake, taking all the grit and grind off the lake with it. So it's a great project for Roxbury. We're hoping it kicks off this year, and it's just a great project. The only other project probably really worth mentioning, although it would be a Jefferson project, would help the lake so much, would be sewers for Jefferson. Roxbury had the foresight, as did Mount Arlington, to sewer the whole parts around the lake a good number of years ago now. 30 years ago, thank you, yeah. And Hopacum had money and did about, they thought they could do the whole, they ran out of money and they did about 55% of Hopacum. Jefferson, back about 30 years ago, decided that they didn't want to spend the money on sewers, and we kind of paid that price around the lake ever since, and there's been no sewers in Jefferson. And in the ensuing 30 years, it just got so much more expensive to tackle projects. And part of Jefferson is nice and flat and easy, and parts, as you probably know, if you know the lake a little bit, are very rocky and can be very expensive. So, Governor Sherrill, when she was Representative Sherrill, got the project kicked off to get funding with Mayor Will Susan from Jefferson Township to start the sewer project. They're still in the study phase now. They're working with the Connecticut Sewer Authority to hopefully have enough volume to handle Jefferson. And the project is eking forward. The Army Corps is taking it on. The good part is sewer projects aren't so controversial these days. They have been getting funded. The idea is to keep the project moving along. There's no false impressions about it. It's going to be like a 10-year project, and we're only about 2 years into it. But it would have such a huge impact on Lake Packham of eliminating so many septic systems for Lake Packham. And as you know, most of the big restaurants are on that side of the lake too, up in Jefferson. So it would just be huge to get Jefferson sewered, and then we can work on that small part of Hopacum. So it would be, it's just a project we want. And then for us, the Lake Packham Foundation is in Roxbury. We love being in Roxbury. We're that little train station building that you pass all the time. We're thrilled to be part of the town. I'll just say it, that little pond across from us, we would love to maybe someday even do something with that and turn it into something really pretty over Riggs Pond. Whether it was a public or a private type of thing, it's just something that we'd love to see it happen, and it's really, a wonderful thing for Atlantic to see that maybe as a walking track around it or something. I can say them keepers make a lot of noise on there. When I'm working in the gardens, wow, they are noisy over it. So I know there's a lot that lives in Riggs Pond, so it would be good for that. Other than that, I'm really happy to try to answer any questions about Lake Packham that come up tonight. I do. I have it on my phone.
So we were hoping Colleen was going to be here because she has some information that I really wanted to make sure that the local landing, Fort Morris area, heard. And on the corner of Rogers and Mount Arlington Boulevard, right in front of the Shore Hills Beach Club, across the street from the beach, but in front of the beach club, adjacent to the landing market. The Lake Apacon Commission had some extra grant money left over, and they approached Roxbury Township to see if there was a project that we could work on within the watershed of Lake Apacon here. So we got together, Steve Sinise and a few other people. We're doing on the corner there on that berm where the Shore Hills Country Club did a great job putting the mulch there, collaboration with the township. We pulled the trees down, they did the mulch. We're going to continue to enhance that area with a native species landscaping design to help beautify that area, enhance that area. So we're really excited to see that come together. It's a $50,000 planting, so it should be significant, and it should add some nice color to landing there near the lake. So
Which is
excited
great.
for that project.
And you know, and 2 points off of that. One, the money from that actually came from a project that was being done in Hopakam State Park where they didn't spend all the money, because really Hopakam State Park is Roxbury, it's just run by the state. And the other thing is, if you have a chance and you're interested in native plants, please stop by the Lake Apacon Foundation offices. We have about 47 or 8 varieties of plants there. We all try to kind of interpret for you and all, just to show you what you can grow in your garden all year round that is native. You don't have to water it once you get it established, and it likes living around here because it's done it for tens of thousands of years. And we have some American chestnut trees from there, and pawpaw trees, and it's fun. And if we can grow it on Landing Road with all the traffic that goes by there, it has to be able to grow in your yard. And most people are resistant. If you aren't that hungry.
I think someone in the audience has a question, please.
Yes. Yeah, my name is Dave. I live right here down on the lake, and I was just curious, when they do that, where will they access? Like, what's that going to look like?
You know, we're talking about that now. Last time we had access, we accessed off of that open area of Kingsland.
Oh, yeah, where the little, they
That's
can
right,
use a ramp.
yeah,
Use the
exactly.
launch.
And that's where we accessed last, but that would be something that we would have to discuss with, you know, your officials in Roxbury as to what would cause the least problem. Because there's always, you know, maybe off of Shore Hills Beach a little bit, maybe off of the end of the channel. Just whatever will be least disruptive, I think is what we would look to do.
Would that be in the summer months?
Well, we can't really do it when it's frozen, and now we know that the lake does freeze again. It's gonna be what we're at least looking at right now would be a dredger that sits in the lake and pumps from in the lake. I think what they call that type of dredging operation, but yeah. So the dredger just moves around the channel, and there would be a hose going over to where it's pumping to.
Will it initially affect, I'm sorry to interrupt, but will it initially affect the water level in the lake as they dredge? Will it get lower? Is there going to be an issue with the boats or anything in the summer?
No, we just have to make sure what we do is we're not gonna be doing it like Saturdays in July, you know. The idea is to try to, you know, minimize it, but, you know, that's something that we have to work with.
There's a lot of factors that still need to be determined, you know.
Put it this way, when we get the money, then we can really
Yeah,
start.
let's get the money
hard
first, and
work.
then we'll.
The reason I asked is my backyard, that's the only reason I asked.
But if you want a little thing, we might be able to spray a little that way. Really, I mean, the idea is to cause the least disruption and open up that channel, so we give you some real deep.
Yeah, I'm
water
excited. And Miss
navigation.
Lotta could come right down there.
That has been stated that we will know we're successful when you see Miss Lotta coming to the end of the channel and going back.
And last question, are they putting a brewery in over there or not?
You know, I don't know if you wanna handle that one or not.
People have been asking that for a long time.
I don't have any update on that.
Yeah, there might be some issues with ownership there, so I don't foresee anything in the near future, but hopefully we're still trying to encourage them to get moving on it.
Township fully supported and approved that project. It's an ownership issue.
We approved it, the
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it'd be nice to see something in there.
I will say, just, you know, everybody likes a little gossip. The Jefferson House actually is under contract right now to be sold, because that's the one we, you know, for 20 years you heard it, you know, every Sunday you hear it was sold. This time it's actually, if it gets through the lawyers, you know.
It'll change
If it gets through the lawyers, that's what it is now. But yeah, that is the one major change on the lake this winter.
We have another question?
Sure.
Yeah, Kirk, I'm on the board for Shore Hills Country Club. With the club has a question about the maintenance of the plants once they're planted. Who's gonna be in charge of maintaining that?
Say that one more time.
The maintenance of plants once they're in.
the maintenance of it.
Oh, they'll handle it in the beginning, and then, like Marty said, they're native, so it won't need any maintenance.
I mean, I will tell you from the ones that we grow, the first year, it would probably behoove everybody to kind of help out a little bit, because they just need to get started, but they should be fine after that. Even in drought, they should really be fine. And someone's gonna have to trim them at some point if you put some shrubs in and stuff. But yeah, the idea is that the natives is exactly what the mayor said.
You volunteered to cut your poker? What's that?
Well, we do it now.
It'll probably be a lot less work than you used to, so you won't mind it.
We have to, give a hand, we're happy to give a hand over.
It won't be in the community. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
Marty.
And thank you all.
Open it back up for questions. In the back here.
Hi, I'm Lois Beal from Center Street in Fort Morris.
How does it feel?
First, I have to say thank you. This has gone on since the time Chris Rapp was our township manager. Thank you for replacing the sidewalk on Center and Palmer Streets last year.
I didn't do it, but this guy right here did.
Thank you. It's a long time coming. The next thing I have on my list, as you come in from NECOM, can something be done with that welcome sign? It's peeling paint. You see it just stuck in concrete pylons. I know 2 years ago, a number of the signs in the township were fixed, and I'm not sure if it was the women's club that were supporting that, and they ran out of funds and never got to that one. I don't know if anything can be done with it, but at least a coat of paint so it's not peeling. Last year,
Is it scheduled to be done? It's not on our schedule.
We're discussing.
We're replacing signs from all around town.
okay.
But the DPW will take a look at it.
Yeah.
Last summer into fall, there was construction on Center Street. I don't know what they were putting in, but it was one lane only back and forth. Was it gas lines? Was it electric? It ran from in front of the old Pathmark Shopping Center up
gas.
to the first railroad trusses.
Gas.
What was it, gas?
Gas.
Are they coming back?
To pave it?
I'm sorry?
Are you saying, are they coming back to pave it?
No, are they coming back to, is the job complete? Because there's still tubing and debris in the brushes there.
Steve will take a look at that.
Okay, and if this is finished, are they gonna come and pave that? Because that's pretty bad.
Whoever opened it up will be responsible.
Yeah, they're responsible for it.
Okay.
Properly.
Landing Center. I think it's great that a lot of stores have come in there now. You've got the nail salon, the pizza place has been there for at least a year, the barber shop, the Dollar Tree, the Indian restaurant is still coming. Why this was such a dead place for years, is it now sprung to life? Is there something else behind it with this owner?
I think the owner's son, right?
The original owner, Mr. Cruvant, has passed, and then the sons took it over, so it sat stagnant for a while. One of the things I worked with our previous manager on was continuously reaching out to the children, push and let them know that they're single-handedly strangling a community, and they need to do something about it. I think after a few years of writing letters and calling them, they're finally moving forward. And I'm not going to talk rumors like Marty and spread gossip, but I have heard some good things coming to that plaza in the next year or so.
Okay.
I'd like to call out for the mayor. He's been on top of it since he got elected, on regular phone calls, trying to get a hold of that family, so kudos to the mayor.
Thank you.
It's nice seeing the resurrection there, it really is.
They had all new power run by JCP&L, updated the system, and so they're working forward, they're moving forward.
And the Port Morris, welcome to Port Morris sign that's on that first train overpass, I don't know if somebody put stickers on it, graffiti on it, but there's something on the Port Morris side that really should be removed. Okay.
Steve, write it down.
Do you have any updates on the warehouse on Landing Road? What the status of that is?
McNear.
Yeah, that's, they haven't started that project yet. I think they're still probably going through compliance. Not 100% sure.
And there'll be no access on Landing Road.
But are they also going to be held to the 49% warehouse
Coverage?
space of what's up there?
What do you mean?
Well, I thought the township was a warehouse, you can only allocate 49%.
There's
To
certain types
warehouse?
of, there's certain types that are like that. This is not one of those buildings.
It's not.
But it did comply with everything that we required of that building, based on our ordinances.
Yeah, our new warehouse ordinance.
Right.
Okay, and we're not going to have the same issue that we're having now?
Your guess is as good as mine at what the warehouse market is today.
And the last thing that I have to say is, I really don't think your hands are clean in this ICE issue. I personally think if you had held to not allowing that guy to originally go to 99% warehouse, and you held it back to what it should have been, maybe this wouldn't be an issue. That if he was forced to have to do something else with more than half of that space, he might have been able to do something with the space and now not sell out, give the township the middle finger, and walk away and leave it in our lap.
Well, for starters, the warehouse zone, there are different zones. The warehouse zone that was on that property was for a warehouse, which provided up to 100% warehousing. It wasn't a change in that. That's just the type of zoning that was. It was situations with warehousing, like the threats we had on Hercules property, et cetera, that made us look at our warehouse ordinance, and we've updated it. But there are still areas where you can build 100% warehouse. That's never been, there's no use out there for people with 50% warehouse use. Nobody's buying that, so it would be unviable, wouldn't be built. It would just be vacant land.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're in the middle.
Hi, my name's Olivia. I'm a Roxbury resident, like most of you, so I am your neighbor. So I'm going to bring up the ice facility again. I frankly don't care if you're tired of hearing about it, because I'm tired of talking about it, and I'm tired about this consuming every waking moment. The fact of the matter is that if this warehouse is transformed into this ice facility, none of our lives here in this room are going to be the same. And it's really nice that you guys are going to have a great, lovely new bridge for ICE to drive into town with while they're on their way to, arrest, assault, and/or shoot like dogs in the streets, our residents. So it's really nice that you have your priorities in straight. I'm really glad that people here are fussing over the welcome sign to our town, and if there's some graffiti on it, and not whether or not masked goons are going to be patrolling the streets, dragging people out of their homes, potentially killing them, all while traffic is going by, while children are on their way to school, people are on their ways to work, people are simply trying to live a normal life here. This has no purpose in a residential area like Roxbury. I am a resident, and I can tell you that I'm probably one of the younger people in this room, and nobody my age is going to move to Roxbury with children if there's an ICE facility here. Do you understand me? It doesn't matter how good the schools are. It doesn't matter how nice your bridges are or how clear the lake water is. It doesn't matter. All this will be known for is the ICE facility. I have kids. They're not staying here. If there's ICE walking around, kidnapping people, we teach children not to get into vans with strange men. And now we expect full-grown adults to somehow be okay with the same concept. The amount of sheer disconnect happening here between, we care about our local community, but only to the extent that we're going to put blinders on and ignore the giant elephant in the room that is overshadowing everything. I know you're sick of hearing from me, and like I said, I don't care because I'm sick of talking about it. None of this beautification will matter matter if nobody wants to live here. And I'll tell you straight off the bat, no one under the age of 30 is gonna wanna live here. This town is going to get older and it will dwindle and it will die.
Those over 30 don't want it either. I'd like to speak when she's done.
I'm done.
I am not a Roxbury resident.
Please address us.
I am not a Roxbury resident, but I did live here for 8 years, and my niece and her new husband live here, right on the lake. And they've been talking about children, and they've been talking about leaving. That's why when she said something, not only does it affect your community, it affects the other communities. We already have 2 ICE facilities in this little tiny state. They're trying to put a mega center here, and in South Jersey, they have data centers which completely are total light pollution, ruining our garden state. They're putting, or trying down in Monroe there, to put a mega data center. Are you going to change from the garden state? Because that's what you're doing. And all of you, you're not going to be alive long enough to pay for what's going to happen. But your children will, and your grandchildren. And when they ask, what did you do in this historical time? I know what I'm telling them. Who are you going to be standing with? We're watching and we're judging. And we also vote.
All right, grants and revenue. So you've seen from Congressman Kane's pie charts, perhaps, how he recently showed and illustrated all the different federal grant money that's coming in and being distributed through his office's efforts. And Roxbury has enjoined a third party to look for additional sources of revenue and so forth. I commend you for doing that, Mr. Murphy, or the council, so forth. Wonderful. And then again, hats off for the way of your methodology for doing the budget presentation, seeing coming in to have the department heads speak and so forth as you're taking on a new role. I thought that was done very well. With grant ideas. What's interesting is that, okay, with the 1.8 that is now not coming into Roxbury's coffers from the Route 46 warehouse, can, instead of waiting for Congressman Kane and Congress to look at and perhaps enact this federal legislation to reimburse municipalities for lost tax revenue, can we approach the third party to seek federally, as a separate line item, the 1.8 that we're not receiving this year?
So first off, thank you. Yes, the township hired Millennium Strategies, and we've applied for dozens of grants already, and for the first time in more than probably 5 years, we applied to each of our congressional representatives some appropriations, both senators and the congressmen. We got a quick form letter back from the congressman that we weren't moved forward, but we have moved forward in some of the other grants that we're looking for at the federal level.
Right, because it's neat to see in that pie chart where we're talking hundreds of thousands, if not low millions, that went to construction of a new police station, to a new firehouse, for fire apparatus, as well as infrastructure within the municipality, sidewalks, crossing areas, and local parks, and so forth. Which brings me to the next idea for grant money. I've been pestering, well, some of you have been on the council for as long as I've been here, about 28 years or longer in Roxbury. And that something I dialogue with Bob and Fred about often is that the street tree replacement program, and that it's been in the works and discussions for about at least 10 years. I have an email chain that probably goes back to 2016 or 14, or something like that. And we go through the whole scenario with how the township had to eat the dollars to take care of the Emerald Ash Borer situation in 16, 17, 18, 19. And that with this new, grant, funding strategy, back at the time I had brought up for how is it that Newark, Belleville, all these different blue municipalities can receive federal, funding for street trees, parks, and so forth, but our areas don't get it. And so with this was, hey, can we look at grant funding for doing Fred's big project on street trees?
Right. First of all, it's a really good point, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. In order to get a lot of grant opportunities, what we need to have is a approved forestry plan. So what we've done recently, and actually Steve's here to attest to this, we went out and we received a grant to allow us to actually put together this forestry plan, which is well along the way to completion. Probably is going to be completed within the next month or two. And then we're going to be able to be in a position that we offer grants for large quantities of trees, and hopefully, be able to replace a lot of the street trees, as you stated.
I just remember Bob's comments previously on how, the different areas in Succassana, and former manager Chris Rath, saying that the area was completely naked when you had ash trees that were 60 plus feet high.
We lost about 2,000
trees, right?
And
they're folding still.
Yeah. And between what, you can get JCP&L to take care of in proximity to electric lines, and so forth, I saw this as an opportunity to. Right. Yes.
All residents, if you wanted to show up, per resident, at the rec center. So replant Roxbury.
The answer is yes. We are looking at additional grant opportunities.
Neat idea.
Millennium, and as Councilman Hall stated, we received a grant from the Highlands to create that study so that we can move forward to the bigger grant opportunities.
Cool, great. Because with that 1.8 missing, you figure there's 400 that would come directly into the township. And you can do a lot with 400. And when you look at from other revenue coming in, Stonewater is almost fully complete. And when you look at those 163 houses or so, the current ones are selling between 900 and 1.2, contributing about 18 to 24,000 a year. I believe most of it's sold, probably 3/4 or at least 80% of it's built. With the third phase and so forth. That
2/3 of the way.
2/3, okay. But that's where the 500 comes in for new Rescue 24. So is Rescue 24 still on track?
Yeah.
For here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we're on track.
27.
I think the manufacturers keep pushing it back.
Okay.
So, yes, we are still on track for our new truck.
Because the last interesting piece, with revenue and funding was that with the Stonewater development and for what those property valuations are, I've had some interesting conversations with our school folks, as your counterparts, that the Nixon School has lost some federal funding because of the increased property values when you look at Landing as a whole, because of how Stonewater has bumped up valuations for the zip code. So it's kind of interesting. Don't know if you guys had heard any of that.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak of the school.
Okay, all right.
Let me take some of that and come back to you. In the back.
I have a question concerning the Roxbury Garden Center. I had heard last year, maybe it was a rumor, that there was going to be housing there, but I see plants, so I don't know.
There was a proposal for it, since we opted into the Highlands region. The Highlands frowned upon that development.
So it's still a proposal, but this year it's plants.
Right now, it looks highly unlikely because the amount that would be permitted there is probably not worth the developer's ability.
Okay, and I have a second thing. Is it possible to have a microphone or something at these meetings? Because this gentleman stood up, it was hard to hear anything in the back. And even from you guys, it's hard to hear back here. I'm loud, but not everybody is.
I hear you, ma'am.
I was a school teacher. I know how to be loud.
just a reminder, the World Cup is happening this summer. The final will be played in New Jersey. I like to think that the World Cup is an occasion where we can all celebrate immigrants and their culture. But we can't celebrate if you're gonna kill us. I asked you to use all of the resources to fight for us, not some, because our government is being corrupt, and it's your job to put it back in its place. I asked for everything. You have to fight with everything. You can't kill us if you don't do this.
I'm the second question. You got to ask the second question. And I'm going to address this like in the green coat said about the warehouse and landing that is empty, and therefore that is one of the reasons why we have been asking for a permanent ban and a moratorium on private prisons and permanent zoning bans on all detention centers within Roxbury for any warehouse. What is to say that if they don't go to this ICE warehouse on 46, they just can't pick up and go somewhere else? We've been asking for a moratorium on any warehouse to be banned for ICE usage. When can we expect that to happen? Obviously, other people are concerned. There's an empty warehouse and landing. Who's to say that like ICE just can't move right in there? So can we get some action on that? And that is specific to landing.
There is no warehouse and landing that's.
She just said there was a specific warehouse and landing.
There's nothing built.
It doesn't matter if it's built or going to be built. Why don't you protect the rest of the warehouses that are around town?
Our ordinance already prohibits any private business.
Zoning ban is what we're looking for. That ordinance does not do that. I've read it, everybody else has read it. Zoning ban. And at meetings, we've asked and asked. Why can't you just do it? Other towns have done it. Many of them. Is there a reason why you won't do a zoning ban?
Same thing for AI Center.
It's a question.
Thank you.
Transparency, demand it. We don't get it.
You? Who?
Yeah. Are they calling on me?
I don't know. Pointing does.
Whoever was back there, go ahead.
I can't see. Are you
I
calling me?
One of you, either one of you.
Go ahead, you first, go ahead.
A while back, there was a discussion about
You go
getting new
next.
equipment to do sidewalk leveling and so forth. What's the status with that? Is that starting? I mean, there are.
We've been using that program for over a year now.
Okay, there's places like up in Mount, I think it's called Mountain Park over there between Poets Peak, and then actually Hunters. The sidewalks are abysmal. They really are. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is, I've been helping out with family members who need to be out and moving with basic needs, and it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. So I was wondering what's the current status of that.
Redwood Way.
Pardon?
Redwood Way Mountain Park.
So it started midsummer last year. We acquired the equipment in May. It went very well. We've got about a mile of sidewalk done before we lost the weather conditions to the winter. My staff has started that work again. So that coupled with, folks may not be aware, but in the budget process, the council authorized a significant amount of money to address our sidewalk issues in town. We're going to be moving forward with a new type of program where it's more directed by the township of where we're going to address the sidewalk issues. And we have them all over town. I've probably spoken to a lot of residents in town about our sidewalk issues. We're making an exerted effort, and the council did so by authorizing a lot more money this year. So the folks in the township should see, if you have sidewalks, you're going to see some form of action in the next few years. We're going to start kind of where we started off last year in the further end by 9-mile area, and we'll be working our way out. So there is going to be a significant amount of work. Right?
And one other question. The budget was passed, and I guess taxes are going to be going up. Is there a percentage that the taxes are going to be going up?
But it was not passed.
It was not passed. Okay. Are you guys going to be? I guess I'm just going to have to wait and see, because I don't know what the effect's going to be between the loss of the warehouse. What's the effect on residents? What's the effect on rentals, for instance, on the renter? And they're going to go up. So I'm waiting to hear what is anticipated. All right.
Thank you.
I know, I'm supposed to address you. I'm trying to address in general. I heard the clapping when that gentleman spoke about this is this is a thing in Landing. I heard you say that. I heard people clapping like they don't want to hear it anymore. And I see the group of people who have spent at least 2 hours at town council meetings every single week since December. And I think, number one, gotta give those folks a little bit of credit. And thank you to the town council. You guys are involved with the lawsuit. You guys are involved with the moratorium. I think we also need to consider the fact that the amicus brief was filed by community called people within an organization called NINJA, ICE in North Jersey Alliance, or I don't know if it's called New Jersey Alliance now. It's not going to take one person. If you're watching of the warehouses that have gotten shut down, of not having people physically in them, you'll notice that it was a lot of grassroots efforts as well. So thank you for what you guys are doing. Yes, it is frustrating. Yes, we need more information. Yes. But for folks who are in here who don't want to hear about it anymore and they're hearing, okay, the lawsuit's been filed of this, don't come to meetings. You don't need to come to meetings. Maybe get on the NINJA newsletter, but be aware of what it is, and more than just the fact that a lawsuit was filed. And all, it's great the lawsuit's filed, but we need all the help we can get with making sure this doesn't happen.
I would like to do a little interjection about private prisons, because although I was born in Jersey, I came back 2 weeks before Sandy hit. But I spent 32 years in Tucson, Arizona. I worked the elections for a decade in the polling places. I also worked a decade in the state prisons for men. And they got taken over, first the juveniles, by private prisons. And it went into the toilet. They had problems. They had incidents, because we can't call them riots, because we have to fool everybody else, not tell the truth. Yes, now, because I have family and people in Tucson, and I'm letting you know, you're going to regret it. If any of you have really not a lot of experience seeing what happens over time when private prisons take over, you might want to do some research, because I have seen it, and it's not pretty.
I just have one more question. Since you've kind of backed out of the Mount Laurel doctrine, is that it?
Fair share.
What steps is the council taking against developers now coming in? I don't want to see a 10-story apartment complex get plopped onto Valley National Bank site because somebody bought it up. Is something in place that's going to stop that?
Mr. Adams? So why we did not opt in, the reason we didn't opt in is because the burden was so great on the municipality that we would be building 4- and 5-story buildings. Because we sat and met Mr. Hall, Mr. DiFilippo, and myself, along with attorneys and planners, sat literally 4 to 6 weeks apart for the last 2.5, 3 years, guys? Trying to find places to locate these things.
I remember when the figures
and it has to
came
be
out.
in the sewer service area. We couldn't get to the number they wanted to put on us, 1,000 units. Don't forget, 1,000 units meaning you have to build 5,000 units. 5,000 units, because only 20% are set aside for fair share housing. We couldn't find it without going higher and higher. You saw what's happened to towns around us, Mayan Hill, Wharton, Parsippany. Yeah, Randolph. Look, Randolph, it's crazy numbers going. So that's the kind of development. So it started going from the place that we permitted, the planning board permitted, up on 46, the top of the hill, by Kingtown Mountain. That was 5 units per acre. That was built less than 10 years ago. Now, they're starting, the minimum number is 10. They're asking for as much as 25 units per acre with no amenities. You know how high you have to go for 25 units? So we backed out. Does not mean we're backing out of building fair share housing. We still have previous rounds that have already been approved for up to 10 units per acre, most less. If we didn't pass a zone change on it yet, we might have some recourse to prevent that or move in another direction. What we gave up was our protection of developers being able to sue us. Now, but we also opted into the Highlands. So this is a very confusing subject, so I'm trying to get through it as quickly as I can. But by opting into the Highlands, it made it harder to develop in some of the preservation areas and planning areas, which Roxbury has preservation area that's not being built along 206, for instance.
Yeah, what the councilman is trying to say is we're firmly against high-density housing in Roxbury. We're firmly against it. We're not against housing. We're building we're actually, next meeting will be approving money for the new Habitat for Humanity house. So we have some beautiful affordable housing in Roxbury. We take it very seriously. But to answer your question, we will not accept high-density 5-story, 4-story buildings in Roxbury. We will not. That's what we're doing.
But we are at risk of a developer's remedy lawsuit.
Right.
That's the biggest risk. But it would be a lawsuit, so they'd have to have rationale to come in and ask for an exorbitant number, and they won't have a zone to meet it. So it could go either way. But we don't anticipate that in the near future. But that's our exposure.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Sarah Winters. I think some of you are probably used to me coming to talk to you every week, more so about the ICE facility, but I think we've heard a lot of comments about that today, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about affordable housing. I just want to give you some perspective as a 31-year-old woman with 2 children. I've lived here in this town my entire life, and I'm raising a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old here. And I've been looking for a home in town because I love this town. As you probably can see my dedication to coming here week after week. I love Roxbury. And it's really difficult to find and buy a home here. It has been a heartbreaking, devastating, painful 9 months. I think a little bit tricked and bamboozled into buying one of those stonewater houses a while ago. I sold it within a year. Pipes freeze, they're put up terribly, like that community is not what they're selling it to be to people. And it's really unfortunate with many other problems with that community as well. I sold that house within a year and a half of moving in there, causing a lot of instability to my children, and have spent the past 9 months looking for a new home. Some really happy news is that I did finally get into attorney review with the house, so fingers are crossed that I'll be staying here in the town that I love. And you'll keep hearing from me week after week. But that said, like, affordable housing is so important. I love it here, and it shouldn't be so hard to stay in the town that you grew up in, right, and to raise your family here. So, I mean, I'm not an expert in zoning or housing or any of those things, but I hope that if I tell you a problem, that as a council, you'll work really hard to come up with solutions for us. And that said, anything you could do to make it easier for families to stay here. I don't think any of us want 5- and 6-story townhouses after how quick and shoddy I saw Stonewater go up and how horrible it was. I don't think anybody should be going into these like Ryan Homes complexes that are going up in a second, right? They're going up and down Route 10, we see them everywhere. I would really urge that we work with more ethical developers, work more with local companies and local developers rather than allowing these types of companies to come in and kind of take advantage of our community. And I don't think any of us want to see those 5-story buildings. Like, I agree with that. That's not, it takes away from kind of the ambiance of Roxbury that we all love. But I think if instead of dedicating plots of land like that, huge plots of land like Stonewater to those types of housing, if we could make an opportunity to make some more affordable housing and let families stay here, it'd be really special and keep this town generational, right? And it's hard to buy a home in our age generation. It's gotten harder and harder. It's not as easy as it was for someone buying a home 10 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And so anything that you could do to support that would be really appreciated so others don't have to go through what I've been through. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hall? Sierra, we're not against affordable housing. What we're being faced with, of course, we've been through this so many times before. I've been on the council for a very, very long time. They keep Jim, how many times did it change it? At least a half a dozen times?
5 or 6 times, I would say, over the last,
So the last time they did this, they dropped on us a 1,000 number that we would have to deal with. If you take that at the 20% set aside that they have, Jim's right, that's 5,000 units. Multiply that by 3 or 4 people per house, and we're gonna be adding 20,000 people to Roxbury Township. Was it due to fire? Was it due to police? Was it due to everybody else? I'm not against affordable housing. Matter of fact, we've been fortunate enough we can have our school kids actually put up a lot of affordable housing within the township of Roxbury. But if you look over time, I think you're gonna find that we've actually put out about 400 units, guys. Yeah,
on the ground.
Within the town already. We're not against affordable housing, we're against the magnitude being mandated to us by the state of New Jersey, and that's it in a nutshell. We just don't think it's realistic.
Well, I appreciate that, and I've been here week after week agreeing of that, I don't want to drain our town's resources. I've talked about the ICE facility impact on our police and fire many times, and how, scared I am of, raising my kids in a town where there could be 200 plus more emergency responses per year, and so I do appreciate that. I think these things should be done strategically. But I just wanted to share, with you, a real person's experience, so you can use that to, I would assume you're all already homeowners here, and maybe have been for a while. So just so you can hear a perspective of what it feels like trying to establish yourself in this town, that it's not easy.
You called the leader of Habitat for Humanity, they'll probably tell you the best municipality they work with is Roxbury Township. Partner with them.
That's great.
Anyone else in the audience? Go ahead.
Linda Gisona, I'm from Kenville.
Hi, Linda.
So I'm changing the location, and I have questions for you.
Sure.
Police activity along Route 46 heading west is really wonderful compared to what it has been previously. I'm constantly seeing one of your vehicles someplace along the highway, which is really good. But can they move down closer to Mill Avenue?
Sure.
And they come.
Park in your driveway.
I'll move my husband's car around.
You told me before we can park there, yes.
But I don't know what's going on down Mill Avenue with the trucking companies, but lately, there's a lot of new trucks, and I mean orange ones, red ones, green ones. They're brand new, they're triple axle, and they're coming down 46, they're coming west, making a right-hand turn into Dell Avenue, and they're hitting the Jake brakes. I mean, my house is shaking like you would not believe. When they come around the corner, they can't swing that corner.
No,
So
they
they've
can't.
got the cars stacked over here. These cars are backing up, the cars behind them are blowing their horns. They could sit in my driveway and really just scare some of these drivers that are coming in. But it really is getting bad. The triple axles, sometimes I thought it's not supposed to be a rule.
I have to look and see what the signage is there, because that might be something I have to contact the state
There's
on,
a lot of
as
them
far as not allowing right-hand turns there, because maybe it's allowed right now. I have to look at it, but we can look into that.
But it really is, I mean, it's annoying with the horns, let me tell you, now that it's getting to open the windows and everything, and that's why I'm opening mine now.
So you could open your windows.
Well, not in the windows, because the dust, but I've lived there my whole life, so I know what it's like. And I just think there's way too many trucks parking down there. I know they rent the spaces and everything, and a lot of landscapers, and they come in with the trailers, and they're another offender that cannot make the corner. I mean, we can sit in our windows, and that telephone pole that's on my corner, it's gonna come down someday. It really is, because they miss it by inches. But thank you. But I do like the police activity around. Thank you.
Put a coffee
In
pot
the back,
out there.
right? In the back?
Hi, I'm a Roxbury resident and been here for about 10 years. And I just want to thank the council, because I know there's a lot of there's a hot button issues going on, and you guys have to sit up there and listen and have a great forum. I just want to thank you. I think it's a lovely town. I really enjoy living here. And I just think when we talk about things, if we could just keep our decorum, and I know you're listening, and I appreciate all you do. So thank you very much, and I know you're doing the best thing for the township, and I appreciate appreciate everybody telling you their issues, and that I believe you are doing everything you can, and I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, anyone new, who hasn't spoken yet, that would like to be heard on any topic? All right, I'm gonna close down public, and I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?